Did you know that there was a man known as the Rainmaker? The Rainmaker was a man named Charles Hatfield, born on July 5th of 1875 in Fort Scott, Kansas. But by 1886, when he was roughly around 11 years old, he and his entire family proceeded to migrate and settle in Southern California. Through the young Hatfield's developing years, he grew a keen interest in something known as pluviculture. And pluviculture is practically just the idea of artificially inseminating clouds to produce rain. And this kid had so many ideas on how to do this. And it all sparked from just watching his mom cook, because he watched the evaporation from pots, and this just sparked all of that. And as the young Charles Hatfield grew in age, he began to work as a salesman for the New Home Sewing Machine Company located in California. And for the longest time, up until 1902, that's all he did, is he just kind of worked on just sewing machines. Up until 1902, when he mysteriously officially came out with an official compound where it was 23 chemicals meant to artificially inseminate rain. And so he just out of nowhere just comes out with this. And by 1904, he starts getting promotion. And through that promotion, he starts getting all of these contracts to make it rain, make it rain, make it rain. And so he apparently does so. And he makes a huge name for himself. And that same year of 1904, he was actually successfully able to buy himself a property. And that's pretty solid. So just from those profits, he was able to buy himself a property just in like 2 years. Dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. And by 1915, his career was skyrocketing, dude. He was taking off. Everybody knew his name. Everybody knew who he was, knew what he did, and knew what he could do. And everybody wanted him to do it for them. And so he was getting reached out to by everybody. And there was people being pressured into reaching out to him, like the San Diego City Council. They were being pressured into reaching out to Hatfield for so long because of how bad of a drought they were in. Their dams, their reservoirs were completely dried up. Their riverbeds were sand. Dude, it was bad. And so at a certain point, the city council just kind of gave in, reached out to Hatfield. Hatfield gave them an option, gave them a contract. And this contract is kind of outrageous. It was, so yeah, I'll make it rain, and I won't charge anything up until it does start raining. Because once it starts raining, I want $1,000 per inch of rain. And if it exceeds 50 inches of rain, then I don't need any more payment. So the council was like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. And they voted 4-1 in city council for a $10,000 just payment. And that was completely agreed upon. And Hatfield, even though there wasn't any actual signed contracts or anything, just based off of verbal agreement, Hatfield was like, all right, yeah, let's do this. And so he went through with it. And in 1915, he began construction on one of his towers. And by 1916, the tower was completed. But then it all began on January 5th, when the rain started downpouring so massively that roads were starting to get destroyed. Telephone lines and cables were getting thrown down. Houses were getting swept away. Everything started happening on January 5th. And this proceeded to continue until January 20th, when the rain suddenly stopped. And at this point, everybody went around surveying damages. It was bad. But then, just a couple of days later, on January 22nd, it began raining again. And at this point, the lakes are overflowed. The rivers are overflowed. Everything is overflowed. the dams started just completely just spilling over, causing devastation. And then on January 27th, an entire dam completely collapsed in on itself. And when that happened, various sources say other things, but 20 deaths occurred from this dam collapsing in. And that's just a tragedy there in its own. But that can't be attributed to Charles Hatfield. This was the worst storm in San Diego history. And it didn't stop until I think that it was February 2nd. So that is a good almost month of straight rain. And it was bad. It was bad. And if you don't remember, Charles Hatfield, he didn't have any actual signed contracts for this thing that he was doing. And so it was all verbal. And so the council just looked at him and was like, dude, you messed up. We're not paying you. Because for some reason, everybody truly believed that this was all Hatfield's fault. This is all his fault. And so everybody's just blaming him. The council's like, no, we're not going to pay you. Why would we pay you? You destroyed our entire place. And he's like, well, if you're not going to pay me the entire thing, then I would like to take $4,000. And the council was like, no. And so Hatfield proceeded to try and sue. And when he tried suing, this suit took forever. Took absolutely forever. It went on until 1938, in fact, when two courtrooms decided, just collectively, yo, this was an act of God. This wasn't Charles Hatfield that controlled the weather. Just leave it. You're not getting your money, Hatfield, and you're not getting your restitutions, council. Just leave it. And so it was left. And Hatfield went on creating rain up until 1958 when he passed away. But, dude, he created rain for pretty much his entire life. And he created the worst flood in San Diego history. Like, that's just crazy. Okay, that's just crazy. And you know that 23 chemical mixture that I was talking about earlier? Yeah, when he died, he took that entire thing to the grave. Nobody knows what was in it. Nobody knows the chemicals that composed it. Nobody knows anything about it. It's just a mystery. But my full opinion is Hatfield probably was doing something similar to cloud seeding. At least a primitive form of cloud seeding. If you don't know what cloud seeding is, the US government does it. They kind of just make rain. They just fly a plane around releasing this gas and just make it rain in a specific path. And so, truthfully, Hatfield was probably just doing some sort of primitive version of that. And if that's the case, then the governments probably have something similar to what he was using to create rain. Even if it's not exactly the same, they probably have something similar. And so it's not out of the blue for me that somebody can create rain or inseminate rain. But the thing about it is even if you do inseminate it, you can't control it. And that's exactly what happened here. He created it, but you can't control it. Like, weather is Mother Nature at heart. Like, you cannot control it. There's nothing you can control about it. And so all you can do is potentially enact it, you know? And so that's all I believe on it.